Coming up, we want to see them around for a long time to come, and the British government is trying to ensure we do. That great oxymoron, the swimming cat, getting nowhere fast. Ever have that feeling you can't eat another thing? And some elephants that are just a little too heavy on the eye makeup. All those and more coming right up. At the same time as New York's prestigious Fashion Week, the Big Apple also played host to a whole different breed of model. Instead of pounding the catwalks, interest was in the dog war. Hundreds of pooches and their owners were competing at the prestigious Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. More used to hosting pop concerts or boxing matches, Madison Square Garden has a positively canine carnival atmosphere. Hundreds of entrants from around the globe are competing in this world-renowned show, which is now the second oldest continuously running sporting event. The four-legged contestants come in all shapes and sizes. There are giant dogs which look more like mops. Woolly Bully's owner, Sue Proto, proudly declares that her dog's perfect white dreadlocks take a long time to prepare. In fact, it takes longer for her to get him ready than it does herself. Among the breeds present and fiercely competing are Afghans with long flowing locks and of course the pouting pugs and primped and preen poodles. The Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show is the most prestigious canine event in the United States. Unlike the majority of the 1,500 dog shows in America last year, the Westminster Show is limited to champions only. In the giant arena, several different contests happen all at once. While sheepdogs show off their running skills, tiny toy dogs can be seen posing on the podium. But the canine calm out in the ring is a far cry from the chaos backstage. Dogs bark and howl while their owners frantically try to get their tongues dry. Every breed of dog imaginable is poured over by their human counterparts. Clipping, cutting, washing, braiding and blow-drying are all part of the big parade. Thousands of dog lovers file through the grooming area to peek at the wide variety of pooches stretching for the competition. When they're not in the ring or being pampered, most of the dogs take a rest. Just like Baron, an Afghan hound from Mexico. Hi Baron, nice hat. There may be a bigger abundance of nerves than pooches at the show. These owners know all the dog training and hours of practicing comes down to just a few minutes in the ring. One false move could mean a doggone day. Still, the dogs seem to be enjoying the attention, even if they are getting a little dizzy. Now on to exercise to a different kind. Cats may not take to water that well usually, but one moggy in West Sussex, England, takes a plunge every week. Custard, an 18-month-old tomcat, enjoys his weekly therapy sessions in a warm water pool designed for pet physiotherapy. It's Friday morning at 10 a.m. and Custard has arrived for his 15-minute physiotherapy session in the pool. He's been coming here with his owner, Sue, for a few weeks to take a swim and build the muscles in his weak back legs. Custard was born as a very large, weak kitten. The extra weight of his body on his legs, which seemed to be underdeveloped, caused him to stagger about and collapse. Sue consulted one of her friends who's been taking his dogs, who was suffering from a similar problem. As with people, the benefits of hydrotherapy for animals are that swimming actually builds up the muscles without the effects of gravity on the skeleton or the effort of supporting the body's weight. It won't compensate for Custard walking on the ground, but it will aid in stretching his joints and as a general aerobic enhancer. Initially, the centre was reluctant to try hydrotherapy on a cat, as cats traditionally don't take too well to water. But after the gradual introduction of just dangling his legs in was overcome, they took the plunge and he's never looked back. The pool is normally used for dogs who suffer from weak muscles, arthritis or spinal disc problems. This is the first time, though, that the unit has tried the effects on a cat. Those who only just start out using the pool are put in a life jacket and get extra help from the centre's staff so they don't panic. Once the animal is used to the pool, it gets strapped up like custard. Sessions usually last from 10 to 30 minutes, depending on the patient. The team at St Andrew's Farm Kennels have recorded enormous success with all patients, and for Custard too, things have changed for the better. After only a few weeks, he can get out of the pool by himself, jump about a foot higher than he could before the treatment started, and he's mentally a lot brighter as well. Sue says now he enjoys playing with the other cats, which he didn't before. He tended to be ignored, and he's a much happier cat altogether. And there's still one more thing to look forward to after the swim is over: the drying process. According to Sue, he loves the blow drying, but he gets a little cross when Sue zips him up in a bag that immobilizes him. But it's all for his own good, so that he doesn't jump out of the towel and remains wrapped up, nice and warm for the trip home. See you again next week, Custard. Sorry, we're not laughing at you, just with you. The British government and some of Britain's most prominent companies have lined up to donate funds and materials they hope will help in the battle to save the Siberian tiger and leopard. Recently, London's ambassador to Russia announced that $60,000 US had been allocated to Russia's animal conservation group, AMUR. AMUR have recently launched a new campaign to highlight the plight of the Siberian tigers and leopards and to raise funds for their work. According to the latest figures, some 400 Siberian tigers are left in the wild and only 20 to 40 leopards. World authorities have urged politicians that the only way to save the Siberian tigers was to help preserve tigers in the wild and stop the systematic poaching of the animals. Unfortunately, to release tigers that were bred in captivity is problematic. You have to raise the animals so that they're not familiar with people and teach them how to hunt. Authorities at the London Zoological Society now recommend the world's energies should be focusing on saving the tigers in the wild and using the ones in the zoos to publicly highlight the plight of the tiger. Siberian tigers and leopards are two of the most endangered big cats on the planet. They've had a difficult time over the past 100 years, with tigers numbering as low as 50 individuals in the middle of the 20th century. It gained protection and the number increased until the present day, when numbers may be up to 400 adult individuals. The situation with the Siberian leopards is catastrophic. There are only 20 to 40 leopards still left in the wilderness of Russia, China and Korea. A lioness named Kamuniak, or Blessed One by the Samburu people, has been left childless after the second newborn oryx it adopted was taken away by Kenya Wildlife Service wardens. This is Samburu National Reserve, an animal park in Kenya where the law of the jungle reigns supreme. Recently, though, jungle law was overturned by a lone lioness which adopted a baby oryx after the first was eaten by a lion. The conservationists were extremely surprised by the lioness adopting a second oryx. This somewhat unnatural behaviour has drawn crowds of not only animal behaviourists and park rangers, but also tourists. The actions of the big cat have been put down to the loss of her own cubs recently and a very powerful but misguided parenting response. Unfortunately for the lioness, out of concern for the oryx, the park vet intervened and the baby was taken away by game wardens who feared it would die of dehydration and hunger. The physical state of the baby was such that it would not have lived for more than a few more hours in the intense heat of the African savanna. The Kenya Wildlife Service vet, who administered the baby oryx with rehydrating drugs, said that it was very, very weak. The oryx, born on Valentine's Eve, had not been able to suckle from its mother and had not eaten anything since it was born. The The lioness has since been christened Kamuniak, or Blessed One, by the Samburu people. She stunned the world by adopting the oryx and is now said to be trailing a herd of oryx, maybe in the hope that it will be allowed to keep yet another child. Authorities agreed if the oryx had not died of hunger, it too would have ended up dead, just like the first oryx she adopted. But as the oryx recuperates, conservationists, researchers and nature experts are trying to explore Kamuniak's peculiar behavior. Lions normally hunt oryx for food. In another baby development, a rare mandrill monkey has been born in the Moscow Zoo, the latest addition in a mini monkey boom for the Russian capital. The 8-year-old mother still carries her newborn around everywhere with her, but soon the young monkey will be walking on his own. It's a small success story for the endangered species, who are the largest type of monkeys. Moscow zookeepers say they believe he's already made it through a crucial period and hope that the rare monkey will now have a healthy, long life of about 25 years. The 9-year-old father looks on with a seemingly indifferent yawn, though the monkey keepers say they're pleased that at least he doesn't threaten his heir apparent. Their only major concern is the jealous first wife, who holds the dominant female spot in their family. She lost her newborn last year, and perhaps because of this has been extremely jealous of the new mother and her baby. The first wife chases the young mother around the cage and sometimes tries to bite her. It's a life on the run for the mother and her son. Sometimes they're forced to pick up corn from the cage floor in the middle of the domestic dispute. Zoo officials say they're observing the rivalry and will only intervene if they think that the newborn's life is threatened. For now, it's important that the new mother, and perhaps even the jealous first wife, learn to raise a child. And a new baby has also appeared in the neighbouring cage. The 6-week-old Gereza colobus monkey is the latest addition to this small family. The newborn keeps close to its mother, but has been born in a more harmonious family. These monkeys often care for the children of one another, and in this small family there seems to be no rivalry between the two mothers, each of whom now have one child. Baby elephant Temi has set foot outside for the first time on a warm spring day in the Berlin Zoo. The 3-month-old baby elephant initially stayed very close to her mother, Kua, but as her confidence grew, she began playing and showing off, obviously enjoying being outside in the big wide world. A long play with the elephant keepers and her mother can be a bit rough and tumble at times. However, Temi is developing as expected and looks as though she's become used to interacting with her keepers and the admiring stares of the public. Asian elephants as a group are endangered in the wild, where perhaps only about 30,000 still live in forests of Southeast Asia, Southern Asia, parts of India, China, Burma, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia and Indonesia. Their habitat ranges from sea level to mountainous regions, although they also inhabit open grassland or even marshes. Today, habitat loss and destruction is the greatest threat to their wild existence. In Asia, elephants may share broadly overlapping ranges with tigers, sloth, clouded leopards and other of the zoo species. In the wild, a social unit would roam about in herds of 15 to 20, led by an old female. The reproduction rate of the Asian elephant is slow in comparison to other zoo animals, with a gestation of 22 months. An adult female gives birth about every 4 years, starting at about age 13. These figures made Temi all the more precious. Temi played with her keepers, jumped over tree stumps and was treated to a nice refreshing bath, while the rest of the elephant herd looked on expectantly from behind the barrier of an adjacent enclosure. Berlin zoologist Joachim Kormann said Temmie has already been in close contact with the rest of the resident herd. She's already spent some time with the others, so they've been able to get used to seeing and smelling her. At some point soon, she will completely be integrated into the herd. Today, though, we certainly can see how lively elephant babies can be. Since her birth, Temmie has grown 20 centimetres in the last 3 months and is now 1.2 metres high. Asian elephants differ in several ways from their African relatives. They have smaller ears, which are straight at the bottom, unlike the large fan-shaped ears of the African species. Asian elephants are considerably smaller, weighing between 6,000 and 11,000 pounds at a height of about 7 to 12 feet, compared to the 9,000 to 16,000 pound African elephant, which grows up to 13 feet. Washing behind the ears for Temmie is a mammoth task. And speaking of Asian elephants, in Thailand, a colourful wedding ceremony has been arranged for elephants on Valentine's Day, traditionally the most auspicious day of the year for lovers. In Ayutthaya, the ancient capital of the Kingdom of Siam, people gathered to bless the elephant wedding of 16-year-old Nantongte to 5 female elephants. The betrothal was accompanied by the traditional trappings of a Thai wedding: elaborate banana arches, noisy street bands, and saffron-robed monks, not to mention a large crowd of well-wishers. Organisers of the elephant wedding say that in Thailand, even elephants can tie the knot on this auspicious day for love, as Buddhism, which is practiced in Thailand, preaches that all living things are equal. There's also a practical point to the colourful event, since its organisers are seeking to promote the government policy of breeding a dwindling elephant population. The Valentine's Day ceremony also happens to fall during the annual mating period for Thai elephants. The Asia elephant population has fallen sharply in recent years following the destruction of its habitat and poaching in the wild. Traditionally, the elephant has played an important role in Thailand's agricultural industry, but industrialisation and the development of the Thai economy have made people less dependent on the animal for their livelihood. Sompas Mipan, owner of the elephant park where the ceremony took place, said he was happy to host the nuptials and that he believed there were various kinds of love in the world today, and why not elephant love? We should offer them some sort of happiness for the joy they've given us, said Sompas. Does anyone know who was giving the brides away? A new hippo calf, born in an Indian zoo, is drawing crowds of affectionate visitors. The new attraction is proving to be a bonanza for the zoo authorities, but the hippo numbers at the zoo may require the new addition to be transferred into another zoo program elsewhere. Ravi is the 7th calf born to Mana and Arun, the lucky hippo couple. The zoo had brought Mana, the mother, in 1991 from a zoo in western Gwalior. 2 years later, Arun, the male hippo, was brought from Madras under an exchange program. Once the calf was old enough to face the zoo visitors, it immediately became the centre of attraction for the children and adults alike. Visitors from Calcutta said they had come to the zoo for the first time just to see the baby hippo. They said they saw all kinds of animals, but found the newly born hippo the sweetest of all. The director of the Nandankanan Zoo said the number of visitors has been constantly rising since the birth of the new hippo. The director says that with Ravi's birth, the hippo population of the Nandankanan Zoo has reached its critical limit. There are now 7 hippopotamus, including the newborn, living in the pond, which is only 1 acre in size. To avoid overcrowding, the zoo management is thinking of moving some of the hippos to other zoos. The successful breeding of species at all zoos causes this dilemma. However, the transfer of individuals to other facilities has the benefit of keeping many species healthy by expanding the gene pool available throughout the world. The zoo is famous not just for its hippos. It has a significant white tiger population and is known to have successfully bred black panthers, crocodiles, and their white tigers in captivity. The zoo also houses a botanical garden, part of which has been declared a sanctuary. At the moment, though, Ravi is the main attraction and delights visitors daily with his actions, while his mother keeps an eye on other interested pool inhabitants. Recently, this beach in India has become very busy, but only after dark. Nearly 2,000 endangered olive ridley turtles have arrived on Rishikulya Beach in India's eastern state of Orissa for their annual nesting. Every year, as winter rolls around, the endangered olive ridley turtles move in large concentrations to 3 major nesting sites along the Orissa coast, one of the world's major nesting grounds, before returning to the sea. Wildlife officials say that most of the turtles have already made their trek to the nesting sites, and an increasing number are swimming to the shore to lay fresh eggs. With each turtle laying an estimated 120 eggs, large stretches of the coastline are now packed with eggs. Last year, more than 1 million turtles came ashore to dig sandpits and lay eggs. In the previous year, only 700,000 turtles arrived. 2 years before that, the turtles skipped the annual ritual and there was no mass nesting at all. The research officer in the Wildlife Department of Orissa said there was an urgent need to legally protect the area in order to save the species. Day by day, human-related activities and disturbances are increasing, and unless these areas are legally protected, it's difficult to conserve the turtles. The olive ridley turtle, which can grow up to 75 centimeters in length, is found in tropical regions of the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans. Such large concentrations only occur at a few sites in the world, with Orissa being one of the most important. But if Orissa is the turtles' largest nesting ground, wildlife activists say it's also their biggest graveyard for many reasons. Though protected under India's Wildlife Protection Act, in the past 5 years, more than 50,000 turtles have either been mangled by fishing trawler propellers or suffocated in fishermen's gill nets. Local residents still say the numbers are lower than years ago, and that the government is not doing enough to protect the turtles. The turtles are still vulnerable because of high mortality rates. According to studies, only 1 out of every 1,000 hatchlings normally reaches adulthood. Against all probability, though, the olive ridleys still seem to be making a slow comeback. We'll see you next time on Animalia.